Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education here at UCR. And she's also a professor in the Department of Chemistry. And her title is Student Success at UCR.
Thank you. The prior discussion was the perfect introduction for my talk. So you've heard a lot from Sue and Mike about things in the Science College. I'm going to give you a little broader view, both from the student perspective and then also from the faculty, because one of the most critical aspects of student success is actually what faculty do. And so we've talked around about graduation rates, and this is data from UCR, and then, let's see if I make the pointer go. There we go. So these hashed bars, this is the UC average across demographic groups. The national average is here, and then these are UCR data for the past several years. And so there's some encouraging things. Our graduation rates are going up. But one of the things that's really unique about UCR compared to many universities, especially research universities, is that across these different demographic groups, here I have Pell Grants, right? We can take Asian American students, African American, Caucasian, Chicano, Latino. We can take the overall average. Statistically, they pretty much shake out to be the same. So there's not a big difference as a university that has to do with what classification you fall into. As Mike showed earlier, there is some difference in the STEM colleges, but we're also hopeful that we can improve that. We're also part of the University Innovations Alliance, and so if we compare our four-year graduation rates to our colleagues, institutions that are in the University Innovations Alliance, you'll see we do pretty well. We come in here just below UT Austin and just above Purdue, so that's not too bad of company. But it's a lot less than what we would like to have. It's less than many of our UC peers. This is a slide that just shows something about freshman retention and also transfer retention rates. So we're doing a good job for our freshmen overall in keeping them. They don't necessarily all stay in the college they enter. So one problem we have is students who start out in our science college or in the engineering college and then they graduate from UCR, but they maybe graduate with a degree from our Humanities and Social Science College. The other thing that this doesn't show is that the retention rate for sophomores is not really so good. And that's especially true if we think about what happens in the Science College, and it's one of the things that's motivated Mike to start thinking about sophomore learning communities. I think Mike showed this slide, so I won't talk about this. I wanted to talk about what's happening this year at UCR. We ended up taking in a lot of new freshmen. So you know that the UC system was challenged by our governor and the legislature to take in more students. And we did more than our share. And so I'm happy to tell you I wasn't part of that decision. So, but I'm happy to tell you now we're all dealing with the outcome. So our target was to take in 4,800 freshmen. We admitted a lot more than that. We have about 5,300 freshmen. And part of what made that happen was that they lowered the AIS score so that we not only have more freshmen, we have more poorly prepared freshmen. The plus side of all of this is that our diversity is really off the charts. So I've plotted this as numbers of students rather than percentages, because if you do it as percentage, it actually looks like some of the diversity goes down. That's because of this overwhelming increase in Hispanic Latino students. So what I've plotted are the yellow bars are the numbers of students in each category in the 2015 entering class, and then the blue part is the addition in the 2016 entering class. So you can see that we We almost doubled the number of African American or Black freshmen. We have a really big increase in Hispanic Latino students, so that they're almost 48% of this incoming class. So this class is about 51 to 52% underrepresented minority, so it's majority diverse. We can also look at other characteristics. So this is the students in this freshman class who self-identify as first generation. It's now up to 62%. We expect that the Pell Grant eligibility will track that. The other consequence as part of the preparation issues is where they place. So as a university, 27% of the students who need math placed into algebra. And algebra is not a university class, it's a preparatory class. You don't get university credit for it. The science college, it's 40%. So 40% of the incoming students placed into basically remedial mathematics. As a campus, 43% placed into preparatory English. And of this number, about between 400 and 500 are in English as a second language course. So this is going to be a challenge. So we not only have more students, we have more underprepared students. I think that we have a lot of mechanisms in place that are going to help us deal with the students. I think our learning communities help. We also have a really good transition advising program so that if students find out they're not going to stay in the major they entered in, they're going to transition to another college, that we can help that happen smoothly and before they've damaged their GPA too badly. I don't know if you're familiar with this report. It's a pretty good report, and it's a survey of more than 30,000 college graduates. It was done by Gallup and Purdue in 2014, and one of the things that the students, the summary outcome of that report is summarized here, that if students really felt they had someone who cared about them, who as a person and made them excited about learning, this is what we do in undergraduate research, right? And in courses like the ones that we've heard about today, that both increases their engagement while they're in university, but it also increases their odds of being engaged at work by 2.2 times, and also their odds of thriving in their own well-being. They report being happier, and so it's a really long-lasting impact that many of the things we can have, that many of the things we do can have. The other reason that I like this is that it really points out the value of faculty and the role that faculty and other instructors, whatever we decide to title them, have on students' lives. That's the reason most of us came to universities instead of taking better paying jobs elsewhere, right? Is those interactions we have with students. So I'm sorry, the top of my slides are cut off. But what this slide is about is high impact teaching and how that requires a mindset change among faculty and universities, and how do we get that? So this has been a day of, preaching to the converted, right? So how do we now take these exemplars and translate them to bigger change across universities? That's something we have to think about. And so I think that one of the things is that and this came up, I think, last night at dinner at our table, that excellence in teaching has to be valued both by the university and by our peers. My daughter, who's an economist, tells me the problems with you academics, as she likes to say, right, is that you don't reward what you say you value, right? We run the university. Faculty in the University of California system have a lot of impact. I think we can change that. I also, from my own experience, feel that you have to have capacity, and I think I like the word capacity rather than time, because time may be part of capacity, but it may come in other things too, right? It may come in having a teaching assistant who helps you devise a new course. But if you're going to innovate in the classroom, have to be supported in executing those innovations. That's especially true for faculty who have high research productivity. And I think the HHMI program has demonstrated this, and it could be a model for our universities more broadly, beyond just the medical sciences. I think that we could have a teaching sabbatical program where you could apply for teaching release to develop a new course or transform an existing course. We also need to have policies that reduce the risks of being innovative in the classroom. So at UCR, student evaluations of teaching are held pretty strongly in the evaluation of faculty. Many times in our labs, experiments don't work the first time. Why should it be any different in the classroom? And there should be a low risk barrier to trying something new, even if your teaching evaluations are not as good. So we're developing here a kind of a program that we're adapting from Purdue. And so Purdue has a program that's called Impact. Have any of you heard about this program? No, so I'm a couple. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. At Purdue, it says Instruction Matters, Purdue Academic Course Transformation. That's what the acronym stands for. Their mission is to redesign foundational courses or gateway courses by using evidence-based research to create student-centered teaching and learning models. So they have now developed I think they've had their fourth cohort. They've had 108 faculty and instructors from 9 colleges, and 45 departments have participated in this. Over 200 courses have been redesigned. So this is a faculty learning community-based model in which the instructors receive some education about how to teach their course in a more student-centered way, and they get some time and focus to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and implement this here at UCR this fall. So we have 2 facilitators who are coming from Purdue, and there are several people in the audience who are going to participate in this. Now, Morris, you know what you got yourself into. And so the facilitators are going to present 2 day workshops that are going to bookend the program. So there'll be 2 full days in October, and then 2 full days in December, the week after finals. And in between, there will be weekly synchronous online sessions where we will assemble all the faculty in the learning community, and they will engage with the Purdue facilitators remotely. There are readings, there are assignments. The faculty start with their syllabus and redesign the course. And they're designed around learning communities that we have sorted based on whether you are going to participate on Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to give the faculty some financial incentive to do this. So faculty who participate will get a stipend of $1,500, and they get $7,000 for research. It's not huge, but it's something, right? And the way that the course is organized at Purdue, we're mimicking that, so that if you complete all of the aspects of the program workshops in the fall, you get 2/3 of the funding. And then if you teach the revised course and assess it, which is more than just giving our student evaluation, then you get the other third of the funding. So we have 28 people who've signed up for this. They're a real mix of very senior and very experienced instructors, and some really new faculty, and some of the people in the room who are brand new are doing this. It is dominated by life science, so 15 of the 28 are a variety of different life science faculty. Math is the next biggest component of the cohort. And then there's one faculty from arts history, from engineering, physics, chemistry. And so the goals are to take courses that have high enrollments and high rates of students not being successful. So courses where there's a large fraction of students getting a D or an F or having a withdrawal before the end of the quarter. And and focus on that because that will have the largest impact. So among the life science courses that are being tackled here are the first year biology lectures, the 1/4 biochemistry sequence. That we have several life science courses that are taught as breadth courses, and there are people who are going to work on those. Also, if we take, for example, the first quarter of introductory biology lecture, we have 3 faculty working together on that because you're going to be much more likely to have long-term impact if there's a group of faculty trying to tackle the same thing. This just shows you the mix of ranks that we have. So it's sort of lots of assistant professors, some associate professors, 4 of our LSOEs, and 3 instructors. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to go. One of the reasons for wanting to have a significant number of really experienced and very talented instructors is that they're going to help us, I hope, implement this at UCR in the future. So we want to institutionalize the program. Purdue has said they will come once. They don't intend to come back, and so then it will be up to us. It's the first time Purdue has done this on another campus, and so I think this could be the kind of model that we can use. I also wanted to mention something that came up last night at dinner, and that's the possibility of taking an idea and translating it across the UC system, much like you have done as HHMI investigators, but maybe we could think about doing it even more broadly, right? Attacking STEM, because as I hear you talk, many of your problems come from chemists, physicists, and mathematicians, right? And so we have in the UC system this multi-campus research programs and initiatives. There is a competition that just launched. They purport to offer it about every other year. The goals are to advance research in areas important to UC, the California, our people, our economy, and to increase our competitiveness, support graduate student research. And it is organized around things that we would more traditionally think of research, but why not think about doing something around STEM education and the research component of that? And so based on what I found on their website, the next letter of intent is likely going to be spring 2018, which is really good timing because that would give time to start thinking about how we might develop such a program. So I just throw that out as a one possibility that could be considered. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Yeah.
I'm Marco Prinsot here from UCR. Thank you very much for your presentation. So I'm curious if you can make a comment about relationship between excellence in teaching and institutional ranking, because it's my impression that there is a message there that we should not be wasting time on teaching if we want to increase our ranking. So we should focus on research productivity. And also there is a message that Cal States are here for undergraduate education, so we should not be competing with them. So I'm curious, how should I respond to those comments?
Yeah, shockingly, I've heard that before.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so I think there's several things that we can say. I think that one of the values of being at a research university is this opportunity to engage in the research mission. And I think as faculty, what I've observed is usually many of the best teachers are also the best researchers. And it is then the ability to connect students to those faculty that gives a different kind of education than you're going to get at a Cal State. And I think this is particularly true in the sciences and in engineering. I also think that to some degree, at least at public institutions, the past is not going to be the predictor of the future. And that we are in a kind of changing at least local climate. I would rather be at a UC school right now than at the University of Texas or the University of Wisconsin. So while we feel some threat from the outside. I think the UC system remains to be something that is a good public institution, and I think the value of being at a public institution is to be able to provide this access and work at the intersection of access and excellence. And so it's hard for me to articulate, and I think that's probably why you asked the question. It's hard for you too, the value of being at a research institution, without starting to point at specific examples like Bio 20 or like doing undergraduate research. Maybe somebody else wants to take a stab.